The NBA has long branded itself as the most global of all sports leagues, a stage where talent from every corner of the planet collides under bright lights. More than 40 countries have sent players to its hardwood floors, and nearly 12,000 men have heard their names called on draft night. But for all of India's towering population, over 1.4 billion souls, nearly 1/5 of humanity, only one has ever broken through that barrier. One man stood as the lone representative of a nation that had never tasted the NBA spotlight. His name was Satnam Singh, and for a fleeting moment he carried not just a basketball, but the weight of an entire country's dreams. His story was one of improbable beginnings, fleeting triumph, crushing setbacks, and ultimately a new life far away from the league he once chased. Satnam was born in Balokhe, a tiny village in the Punjab region with barely 8,000 people. Life was simple, defined by farming and survival, and his family expected him to inherit that same path. School came second to labor, and basketball wasn't even a whisper in his world. Yet, nature had marked him as different. At 10 years old, he already stood 6'6", inheriting size from his father, a 7'2" giant, and his grandmother, who towered at 6'9". Neighbors urged his father to put that size to use, and fate intervened when a local academy announced they were seeking anyone over 6 feet tall. Satnam tried out, barely knowing what the sport even was. He thought at first it might be volleyball, but once the ball was in his hands, everything changed. A spark ignited. It didn't take long before coaches were whispering that this boy wasn't just tall, he was born to play. At only 10 years old, he made the life-altering choice to leave his village, his family, and the life he knew behind, in order to train full-time. Yet opportunity came wrapped in hardship. The courts were cracked, roofs leaked under the sun, and competition was scarce. India offered no professional system, no structured tournaments, no path to greatness. Even the best players worked other jobs just to survive. The NBA? That was another universe altogether. Still, Satnam's promise was too great to ignore. At just the right time, the NBA itself was trying to plant seeds in India. Troy Justice, the league's new director of basketball operations in the country, arrived searching for untapped talent. He was told of a teenage giant in Ludhiana. When he first stepped off the train and saw Satnam towering and broad, he thought surely the boy must be older than reported. But the truth was even more staggering. Satnam was just 14. He was so large he couldn't even find shoes in India. He played barefoot or in slippers until Justice called back to the States and had size 19 sneakers shipped over. From that moment, doors began to creak open. IMG Academy in Florida, America's most elite sports school, was looking for international prospects. Satnam, then 14, was an obvious pick. He left India, taking an 8,000-mile leap of faith into a world he didn't understand. The language barrier crushed him. He couldn't speak to teammates, couldn't understand his coaches, and the loneliness of cultural exile weighed heavily. On the court, his dominance didn't immediately translate. He struggled in early seasons, averaging less than 5 points on the junior varsity team. Yet he refused to quit. He attacked weight training, studied English until he could finally speak fluently, and gradually grew into his role. Coaches praised him as coachable, relentless, and utterly committed. His national team debut came at just 15, the youngest ever to wear India's senior uniform. His numbers were modest, but his mere presence was history. By 2013 and 2014, he was improving, putting up efficient scoring in Asian tournaments and showing promise at IMG, averaging nearly a double against top competition. Big-time colleges came sniffing: Arizona, Kentucky, Michigan State, Purdue. The dream was within reach, but then a cruel twist. The NCAA deemed him academically ineligible. For all the hours he had poured into learning English, his scores weren't enough. The doors to college basketball slammed shut. Satnam's carefully built plan, IMG, college, then NBA, collapsed overnight. His only options were junior college or obscure leagues in Europe. Neither would provide the development he needed. That's when his agent, Travis King, found a loophole. Because Satnam was 19, he could technically declare for the 2015 NBA draft. It was a long shot. The NBA hadn't allowed high school players to jump straight in for years, and Satnam was no LeBron James or Kevin Garnett. But King got him a spot at the draft combine, where Satnam impressed scouts just enough to spark curiosity. He worked out privately for teams, showing flashes of vision and touch. Most saw him as raw, too slow, too undeveloped. But others wondered what he might become with years of molding. Draft night came. Experts expected nothing. As the second round ticked away, it seemed the prophecy would be true. Satnam would go undrafted. Then, with the 52nd pick, the Dallas Mavericks stunned the world. Satnam Singh had done the impossible. The farm boy from Punjab was now the first Indian player ever drafted into the NBA. He went home to parades, hailed as India's Yao Ming, a symbol that anything was possible. But history books can be cruel. Satnam never actually suited up in an NBA game. Instead, he was sent to the Mavericks D-League affiliate, the Texas Legends, where his minutes were sparse and his numbers underwhelming. His rookie season saw just 1.5 points and 1.5 rebounds a game. Year 2 was worse. Regression, dwindling confidence, and mounting doubt. By the time his third summer league arrived, he had failed to show progress. The Mavericks quietly moved on, and no other NBA team came calling. Satnam's NBA career ended before it truly began. He tried to keep playing. Canada's Pro League, Asian tournaments, the Indian national team, but the results were always the same. Scattered flashes, never sustained brilliance. He carried too heavy a burden, the weight of being his nation's lone torchbearer. The pressure hollowed him out. When at last he showed signs of his old self, dominating 2 FIBA qualifying games. With 20-point performances, a doping ban struck like a hammer. 2 years on the sidelines at age 25 ended any hope of a comeback. By then, the game itself had shifted beneath his feet. The NBA no longer wanted hulking centers who lumbered in the post. It was the age of Steph Curry, pace and space, small ball revolution. Satnam was a man out of time. Too raw for the old game, too traditional for the new. But his story doesn't end in failure. Satnam reinvented himself. In 2021, he crossed into professional wrestling with All Elite Wrestling. The same size and presence that once made him a basketball curiosity now made him a spectacle in the ring. He thrived, drawing crowds, going viral, even winning championships. Once again, he became the first Indian to achieve something new on a global stage. At 30 years old, Satnam Singh may never have played an NBA game, but his name is immortal. He shattered a barrier no one else from his homeland had broken. He became the symbol of possibility for 1 billion people. And then, when basketball no longer held him, he built a second act as a star of another stage. From a poor farm in Punjab to the bright lights of America, his journey remains one of grit, heartbreak, and reinvention. The story of Satnam Singh forces us to ask, was he a victim of timing, of a system that denied him the college development he needed, of a league that changed too quickly for him to keep pace? Or was he proof that sometimes the dream itself, the act of trying, is enough to inspire millions? What do you think? Did Satnam Singh's path collapse because of bad luck, bad timing, or simply not being good enough? Could he have been something greater had college basketball been an option? Share your thoughts below, and if you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next story.